you can look at this, even if you're voting for Kamala Harris. I don't know how you can look at this and fucking be like, yeah, shit's not good at all, as a matter of fact. Does this speak to you? Actually, does it actually speak to you? It doesn't speak to me at all.
Good evening, and thank
Damn, bro, the camera work is nasty over here. It's good as fuck. How the fuck are they shooting this in real time and it still looks like it's a goddamn commercial? Whatever the fucking filter is, it's working hard.
So listen, 1 week from today, you will have the chance to make a decision that directly impacts your life, the life of your family, and the future of this country we love. And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division. Many of you watching have probably already cast your ballots.
Why would they clap after chaos and division, dude?
Still considering who to vote for, or whether you'll vote at all. So tonight, I will speak to everyone about the choice and the stakes in this election. Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. An election that he knew he lost. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what? America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Not to focus on your problems, but to focus on his. And Donald Trump has told us his priorities for a second term. He has an enemies list of people he intends to prosecute. He says that one of his highest priorities is to set free the violent extremists who insulted those law enforcement officers on January 6th. Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are. That is not who we are. You see, what Donald Trump has never understood is that e pluribus unum, out of many, one, isn't just a phrase on a dollar bill. It is a living truth about the heart of our nation. Our democracy doesn't require us to agree on everything. In fact, we like good arguments from time to time. Just think of your own family, right? It's not the American way to not have disagreements. We don't shy away from robust debate. In fact, we like a good debate, don't we? We like a good debate. And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within. That's right. They are family, neighbors, classmates, co-workers. They are fellow Americans. And as Americans, we rise and fall together. America, for too long, we have been consumed with too much division, chaos, and mutual distrust. And it can be easy then to forget a simple truth. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. It is time to turn the page on the drama and the conflict, the fear and division. It is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
Her aura is actually unmatched. Holy. What?
Now look, let me say, I recognize this.
Why do we do hogwatch?
Campaign.
Like every fucking day, only to have the president, the presidential candidate be like, we got to hug and kiss Republicans.
I know.
And then people go, oh, her aura. I don't believe that that's a real person, by the way.
Well, let me tell you.
Or they're being sarcastic.
I spent most of my career outside of Washington, D.C., so I know that not all the good ideas come from here. I am not afraid of tough fights against bad actors
I'm lived up
and
on
powerful
America.
interests. Because for decades, as a prosecutor and a top law enforcement officer of our biggest state,
You are going to seethe when Trump wins a landslide.
that ripped off homeowners,
Let's say that does happen.
profit colleges that scammed
You still are probably going to end up killing yourself when you realize that like fucking locking up migrants and trans people is not actually going to fix any of the underlying problems. It's not going to cause you to get pussy, okay? Consensually especially. It's not going to cause your family to think that you're brilliant and not a fucking pathetic loser dead ender. You know what I mean? And inevitably you're going to come to that conclusion all on your own.
or overlooked.
So let's say Trump wins.
Just gets to me.
I have a child and care about their future. Oh,
It's what my mother instilled in me.
it's not going to bring back your wife.
To hold a
And not only is it not going to bring back your wife, it's not going to be able to stop the flow of resentment that your child is inevitably going to have over you.
the drive to protect
Okay?
hardworking
Now,
parents
you can fix the problem.
aren't always
You can fix the problem. Yeah, okay, sure. My wife votes Trump as well. You can fix the problem
kind of president
by
I will be.
not behaving like this. Okay? Fix your life.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not perfect.
Oh my God, you're so toxic. Shut up, bitch. Suck my dick. Yeah, I'm toxic.
Listen to you. Even if you don't vote for me.
If you are Trump 2024 pilled, then you're like openly demonstrating that you want awful shit in this country. Surprisingly, even more awful shit than the Democrats are advocating for. So yeah, I have no issue being very honest with people like that. Many of them came to that conclusion after 4 years of Donald Trump. They realized like, oh, none of the things that I thought were going to make my life better actually occurred. You know, you can cry about that all day, every day, but I'm sorry. I'm not going to look at a dude who's like, I love the fascism that Trump represents and then be nice to them. Okay, you can suck my dick too if you want to defend someone who's like, Trump 2024, bitch. You're going to fucking hate it when he wins by a landslide. It's like, you're a fucking idiot.
If elected,
you're crying.
on day one, if elected, Donald Trump would walk
let people
into that
vote for who they
office
want.
with an enemies list.
Yeah, dude. Let people
When
vote for
elected,
Adolf Hitler,
I will
dude. You're
walk into the-
crying. You're crying. Let people vote for Adolf Hitler or you're crying.
Of what I will get done for the American people.
Hasan, your level of aggression indicates a very probable Trump win. Just my observation.
Democrats, Republicans, and independents.
Deborah's not coming back, folks. Okay?
Who are working hard.
Your wife is not going to come back when Donald Trump becomes president.
I have been honored to serve as Joe Biden.
And the more you chirp about like Donald Trump being the fucking great white hope or whatever the fuck, the more people are going to stop calling you. There's a reason why your family, your immediate family members don't want to fucking have Thanksgiving with you no more, okay? That's because your vibes are horrendous.
Our priority as a nation 4 years ago was to end the pandemic and rescue the economy. Now, our biggest challenge is to lower costs that were rising even before the pandemic and that are still too high. I get it. I still remember our mother sitting at that yellow Formica table, late at night, cup of tea in hand, a pile of bills in front of her, trying to make it all work. And I've heard from so many of you who are facing even greater financial pressures. Donald Trump's answer to you is the same as it was the last time. Another $1 trillion in tax cuts for billionaires and big corporations. And this time, he will pay for it with a 20% national sales tax on everything you buy that is imported. Think about it. Clothes, food, toys.
The only good thing that the Trump tariffs would do is destroy the Trump merch economy.
Average family, nearly $4,000.
Like all of the Trump merch stores that rely on overseas merchandise, garment production would inevitably collapse because they would never be able to pay the tariff fee. And that's the one positive of this entire process is that like they would suffer. Okay? The Trump merchandise stores in every fucking rural town would literally suffer so traumatically. And honestly, great.
Not going back. We are not.
Gatlinburg, Tennessee would be in ruin. The Beamer would still be there, though.
We are not going back. Because we also know Donald Trump would deliver tax cuts to his billionaire donors. I will deliver tax cuts to working people and the middle class. I will make sure you have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because I believe in honoring the dignity of work. I will enact the first ever federal ban on price gouging on groceries.
True. It would also destroy drop shippers too. So you're cooked if you're a drop shipper. Oh my God, 100% of drop shippers and 100% of Trump merch store owners vote for Donald Trump. He's directly cooking his base.
Sure that hardworking Americans can actually afford a place to live. I'll never forget how our mother saved up and how excited she was when she could finally afford to buy our first home. I remember how excited she was. And I know that owning a home is not only a measure of financial security, it's about the pride of your hard work. And as president, I will fight to help first-time home buyers with your down payment, take on the companies that are jacking up rents, and build millions of new homes. For years, we have heard excuses about why America can't build enough housing. Enough with the excuses. I'm going to cut the red tape and work with the private sector and local governments to speed up building and get it done.
Oh.
And the cost of housing isn't
yeah,
the only
deregulation
pressure on middle-class
private
families.
sector.
I've met so many
I love the
young
private
people who
sector.
have a
I
natural
fucking
desire to
come.
parent their children
I come
well.
when I think about real estate developers. I nut every time we cut some red tape. Let's go. I fucking love deregulation. Oh, I'm a deregulation voter. Are you a small business? I love small businesses. Tell me more about how you're a small business. Tell me about how your mom was a small business. Kamala, I love you. Whoa! The thing that I hate about Donald Trump is that he's not serious about deporting all the migrants. Kamala will do it. Let's go!
In the sandwich generation, who are raising young children and taking care of a parent, juggling all of it is extremely difficult. You know, I took care of my mother when she got sick, cooking food that she had a taste for, finding clothes that would not irritate her skin, and understand, as I do, that caregiving is about dignity. It is about dignity. And currently, if you need home care and you don't have some money to hire someone, you and your family need to deplete your savings to qualify for help. That's just not right. So we're going to change the approach and allow Medicare to cover the cost of home care so seniors can get the help and care they need in their own homes. Now, Donald Trump has a different approach. He tried to cut Medicare and Social Security every year he was president. Look, I believe that when people have worked hard their entire life, they deserve to retire with the benefits they have earned. And I believe in the fundamental freedom of Americans to make decisions about their own bodies and not have their government tell them what to do. I will fight to restore what Donald Trump and his hand-selected Supreme Court justices took away from the women of America. That today, 1 in 3 women in America, think about it, 1 in 3 women in America lives in a state with a Trump abortion ban, many with no exceptions even for rape and incest. The idea that a woman who survives a crime of a violation to her body should not have the authority to make a decision about what happens to her body next, that is immoral. That is immoral. And Trump's not done. He would ban abortion nationwide.
Bro, it's crazy that this speech is literally identical to every other speech that she has given so far. Like, come on. You got to do something different, dude. Like, you've spent 30, 40, 50 million dollars on these like focus tested, means tested policies that you are advocating for that are nowhere near meeting the expectations that massive chunks of voters want, and you're still running with them. At a certain point, you have to realize, like, you know, maybe we got to spice it up a little bit. She didn't give a new policy when I walked away. She said she's going to expand at-home health care for Medicare, which is a good policy of hers.
And look, on another subject, politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. and instead treat it as the serious challenge that it is, that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed. When I was Attorney General of a border state, I saw the chaos and violence caused by transnational criminal organizations that I took on. And when I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully, prosecute the cartels, and give Border Patrol the support they so desperately need.
Fuck yeah! I wasn't off base when I said the deportation thing. Like that. Go back to the earlier rant that I was doing as a joke, and then match it up against what Kamala Harris just said.
I will work with Congress to pass immigration reform, including an earned path to citizenship for hardworking immigrants like farm workers and our dreamers. As Commander-in-Chief, I will make sure America has the strongest, most lethal fighting force in the world. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has shown his contempt for our nation's heroes, calls them suckers and losers, called a 4-star Marine general a, quote, lowlife. I will always honor, never denigrate, the service and sacrifice of our troops and their families, and fulfill our sacred obligation to care for them. I will strengthen, not surrender, America's global leadership. And I will stand with our friends, because I know that our alliances keep American people safe and make
talking about Israel.
America stronger and more secure. Look, world leaders think that Donald Trump is an easy mark, easy to manipulate with flattery or favor. And you can believe that autocrats like Putin and Kim Jong-un are rooting for him in this election. I will always uphold our security, advance our national interest, and ensure that the United States of America remains, as we must forever be, a champion of liberty around the world. America, we know what Donald Trump has in mind. More chaos, more division, and policies that help those at the very top and hurt everyone else. I offer a different path, and I ask for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to make your life better. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. I pledge to listen to experts, to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make, and to people who disagree with me. Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table. I pledge to you to approach my work with the joy and optimism that comes from making a difference in people's lives. And I pledge to be a president for all Americans. And to always put country above party and self. I love our country with all my heart. And I believe in its promise because I've lived it. I grew up as a child of the civil rights movement. My parents would take me to marches in a stroller, where crowds of people of all races, faiths, and walks of life came together to fight for the ideals of freedom and opportunity. I've lived the promise of America. I saw how hard our mother worked to give her daughters the same chances this country gave her. Growing up, I was blessed to have family by blood and family by love, who instilled in me the values of community, compassion, and faith that have always defined our nation at its best. I've lived the promise of America. I've spent my life fighting for the people who have been hurt and counted out, but never stopped believing that in our country, anything is possible. I've lived the promise of America, and I see the promise of America in all of you. In all of you. I see it. I see it in the young people who are voting for the first time, who are determined to live free from gun violence and to protect our planet and to shape the world they inherit. I see
36K chat of cynicism and negativity. Damn, you're right, dude. I should fucking... People in here should be listening to her talk about how she's going to have the most strongest, most lethal military and how she's going to deport those who are illegally here. As a Democrat running for president against Donald Trump, should be excited at the prospect. You're right. Like, you do understand. First of all, yeah, it's actually 38,696 people who are filled to the room with cynicism. Cynicism of what they're seeing. Cynicism of what they recognize means for the future of America. Okay? I don't know how you can look at this, even if you're voting for Kamala Harris. I don't know how you can look at this and fucking be like, yeah, shit's not good at all, as a matter of fact. Does this speak to you? Actually. Does it actually speak to you? It doesn't speak to me at all.
Nearly 250 years ago, America was born when we wrested freedom from a petty tyrant. Across the generations, Americans have preserved that freedom, expanded it, and in so doing, proved to the world that a government of, by, and
75,000 people apparently went out there to listen to her.
Endure. And those who came before us, the patriots at Normandy and Selma, Seneca Falls and Stonewall, on farmlands and factory floors, they did not struggle, sacrifice, and lay down their lives only to see us cede our fundamental freedoms.
What?
They didn't do that only to see us.
Like, why fucking yeah when you don't have proof over what you're upset over? I'm fully for her, and yeah, no fucking shit, it's not good. But fucking choose a lane to be upset over. You can't be a Kamala writer up until 6 months ago when it was better for you to be a negative cunt and going middle road. Are you hallucinating? Have you just like closed your eyes and plugged your ears for the past 6 fucking months? What the fuck are you talking about? You think I have no issues with the way that Kamala Harris has run her campaign? You think I have no issues with her legislative agenda? Are you fucking dumb? Even before Kamala Harris, a lot of the arguments that I have for Kamala Harris are actually arguments that I directed towards Joseph Robinette Brandon. That's the ironic situation here, is that like she also, not only did I dislike Kamala Harris in 2019, but also a lot of my criticism towards Kamala Harris has been her rushing towards this supposed centrist Brandonian position. Also, I love that you openly said you're fully for her, and yeah, no fucking shit. This speech is not good. So you're directly fucking advocating for the thing that I'm saying. There are plenty of people in this community that already early voted for Kamala Harris. They don't want Donald Trump to win. They went out and they plugged their nose and they fucking voted for Kamala Harris. And they're still just as disappointed as you are. The difference between you and them, on the other hand, is that they're not trying to fucking fantasize about an alternative future, an alternative reality. They're recognizing what is going on. They're recognizing the problem. I think this speech was the exact same speech that she's delivered time and time again. Nothing different, nothing new. And clearly that message has not actually been all that successful. They've been pumping every fucking television. They've been pumping every TV station with ads in all of these key districts, reiterating these positions over and over again. And it hasn't been good. It hasn't been positive at all. Here's something really important from, of course, friend of the show, one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite journalists, Osita Nwanevu. Okay? He said, whatever happens next week, Democrats are eventually going to have to contend with the fact that some of the most pivotal voters in the electorate, including more and more non-white voters, think our political norms and institutions are bad and have considered Trump on that basis. This was the underlying resentment that people had towards Hillary Clinton in 2016, something that the Democratic Party has basically brushed aside. Like they forgot, as though 2016 never happened. And I don't just mean Donald Trump won in 2016. I mean their underlying resentment towards our institutions existed in 2016. That's why that Donald Trump won. Someone wanted to blow up the system. That's why they fucking took a shot in the dark and went with Donald Trump. Okay? And the Democrats ignored it. And here we are, still ignoring it. This is really interesting from Zach Carter, okay? Another great writer, columnist for Slate, okay? He says, very interesting that so much of the persuasion game is focused on conservatives who think norms and institutions are good and making them comfortable with the idea of switching parties. Do you not recognize what's going on? We are staring down the barrel of fascism, okay? Right-wingers are ripping everything apart and using the instability to say shit is fucked up. And more people are on board with shit is fucked up. Democrats are desperately trying to hold on to a coalition of people who are like, shit's not that fucked up. This election cycle was worse than every other election that I've covered. Okay? It's terrifying. It is genuinely terrifying that the Democrats are like, no, it's fine. Shit's not that bad. Come on. My anger and my resentment for the Democratic Party will always be because of their capitulation to the right. It will always revolve around their framing of right-wing values and right-wing issues with a liberal veneer. Okay? That is what is fucking frustrating about this. I agree, but I worry that the problem is that many in the key U.S. political norms and institutions are in fact bad, and there's no way to fix most of the worst ones without a constitutional amendment. The general feeling of cynicism is right. The prevailing diagnoses and solutions these voters are hearing are obviously terrible. It would be ideal if the Democrats began offering others rather than a return to politics as usual. Democrats love running the appeasement route to right-wing charlatans, to like straightforward fascists, okay? They do it. They do it over and over and over and over and over again. And then, when they're done doing that, they turn around and they say, what do you expect? They will call her a communist. Well, guess what, dumbass? They're calling her a communist anyway. The fuck are you talking about?
be about the change from Trump.
Now listen to what the
to
CNN
future,
panelists have to
not
say.
about Joe Biden, which is where the Trump campaign was.
And the former president certainly helped out with the rally he had. Gretchen, I just want to play something the vice president said tonight.
America, for too long, we have been consumed with too much division, chaos, and mutual distrust. And it can be easy then to forget a simple truth. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. It is time to turn the page.
The majority of Americans think the border problem needs to be addressed politically. Why wouldn't she say something to alleviate their concerns? Oh my God. 60% of Americans also want conditional amnesty afforded to all citizens. The Democratic Party never addresses that, nor do they ever talk about that. They only fucking talk about deportation. They only talk about right-wing border apprehension. They only talk about border control. You are framing an issue around made-up Republican concerns and saying you're the only one to fix it. That is an idiotic way to fucking operate. Why did you accept a multi-million-dollar exclusive streaming contract from the very company you describe as evil and utilizing slave labor? You know very well they are using you to peddle military ads and funnel people to signing up for Amazon Prime but have no problem with it. Why are you such a greedy capitalist? Can I ask you a serious question? If you despise me that much, if you despise me this much to this degree where you're like, why aren't you living out in the mountainside? You know what I mean? On your own. Like screaming the same things that you're screaming from a soapbox next to a metro station instead of the most prominent, loudest, broadest platform that you can arrive at. Okay? If you despise me to that degree where you want to set forth insane expectations that do not correspond to my worldview, that are not hypocritical at all, especially when it's impossible to avoid any kind of monopoly in terms of like being online. Amazon owns AWS. That's like 60% of the fucking servers online. And the rest are owned by Microsoft. It's not like they're a great company either. It's impossible to avoid capitalism. We're living under a capitalist organization of the economy. But having said that, if you despise me to that degree, the question is, why don't you want to punish me? Why don't you want to punish me by advocating for things that will take away my wealth, my ill-gotten gains? Okay? Why don't you want to punish me by demanding that I pay higher taxes? Ask your Democrat, ask your local Democrat to punish me directly by doing that, okay? All right? You feel me? It's possible to avoid. Don't act like you need to accept the contract from Amazon. I'm on an Amazon platform, and I'm a fucking loyal servant to Amazon, okay? You got to play ball sometimes, and I do. And that's probably the reason why you're so annoyed, because in spite of all of that, I'm still here. You know? Also, I don't have a contract anymore, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm literally currently not running ads. You can still subscribe, though, if you have an Amazon Prime account, as a matter of fact, by connecting your Amazon Prime account or your wife's boyfriend's Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and you'll get one free Prime subscription a month. Yeah. That way you'll be able to dodge the auto pre-roll ads and everything else. Asman takes sponsors. Shut the fuck up. Smartest Asman fan. Yeah, I know. Like, everyone has a different way of generating revenue. Asman isn't on the left. They would absolutely laser you if you did the same shit Asman does on his Zag channel. Yeah. If you decline the contract, does that make the border crisis more real? Yeah, that's what what would have happened. If I had not been a loyal servant to Amazon, my goat, my king, Jeffrey Jebediah Bezos, that the border crisis would be real in the minds of everyone. Everyone would recognize the real harm that's happening, and that Kamala will be the only border czar, the border police. He wants you to be poor so you have no resources to say shit. Exactly. I like that most people don't realize that the contract also is not just about running ads, but also about earning a fair distribution of the revenue that you generate for the platform, which is, you know, one of the foundational tenets of any kind of socialist movement. But hey, that's fine.
This campaign believes are gettable with the C words like common ground and common sense. We don't know, but they believe that they have about 3 to 5% of undecided or gettable voters, and that this is the kind of message that those Haley voters, many of them are probably Haley voters, will actually be open to.
Dems moved to the right when Biden beat Bernie, not when Hillary lost to Trump. Bernie or buses were right. Capitulating to corporate Dems leads to fascism.
And she's asking them to come on style.
That's not true.
She's making them do most of the work on policy. Their hesitation with Kamala Harris, they have hesitations about Donald Trump, right? If you're a Haley voter, you've got a hesitation about him. But their hesitations with Kamala Harris are on ideology.
But objectively, you didn't listen. I don't want to. This is your job to debate him, but she gave a lot of policy there.
She did, but nothing on ideology. She's not. Home health care is not an ideological.
No, her
issue.
ideology is America, right? Her ideology was I am like the story of like how you proceed in America, how you can achieve in America, and you know I think that's something that she was really trying to ground herself.
Ideology.shop, where you can purchase the merch that I'm wearing, USA made.
Make it a table
made in the United States with unionized labor.
Or not, I mean, who knows? But that is certainly what.
That's what they're talking about. The election collection is live at ideology.shop.
A permission structure. Liz Cheney was trying to give a permission structure for Republicans to vote for her. She is certainly trying to keep that door open.
Well, just look at Pennsylvania. If you want to drill down there, 42,000 people still voted for Nikki Haley, even when she was a month out of the election. And Trump only won by 44,000 votes in Pennsylvania. I mean, that alone could turn it. So even if some of those disaffected Republicans...
Let's just play something she said, trying to kind of draw a contrast between how she views her political opponents, how Trump views them.
And to people who disagree with me, unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at the table.
Yeah, ew.
That was an olive branch. I mean, in my mind, that was an olive. Whether or not it works, who knows? But that was an olive branch to those disaffected Trump voters who maybe will vote not on policy, but on saving America.
In terms of like ground...
That's such dumb wish casting, dude. Like, the polls have literally not moved, okay? The polls on that front have not moved. This is very, very, very frustrating, okay?